Okay, let's dive into this because this is a fascinating one. We're heading way back, like Ice Age back, to unpack a mystery that's this incredible mashup of ancient art, supermodern science, and really the very beginning of human imagination. So here's the big question that sits at the center of all this. Why would our Ice Age ancestors spend time carving these incredible figures of creatures that, as far as paleontologists can tell, never ever existed? Just think about that. You find this stunning piece of art from tens of thousands of years ago, but the animal it shows, well, it's just not in the fossil record. It's a total puzzle, right? And figuring it out could actually tell us something huge about ourselves. So, first things first, let's look at the actual evidence. And I want to be clear here. We're not talking about some simple, crude stick figures scratched on a cave wall. No. These are seriously sophisticated artifacts, the kind of thing that makes you rethink what you thought you knew about the prehistoric world.
All right, so try to picture this scene. You've got scientists, right? They're meticulously digging through these ancient layers of permafrost, stuff that's been frozen solid since the Pleistocene. We're talking about the Ice Age. This ground has kept its secrets locked up for thousands and thousands of years. And then, in the middle of all that ice and frozen dirt, they find something that just shouldn't be there.
What they pull out are these just breathtaking ivory carvings. And again, these are so detailed, clearly the work of some seriously skilled artists from way back when. So what did they carve? Get this, they're little winged serpents. I mean, for all intents and purposes, they look like dragons. Finding dragons carved during the Ice Age? Yeah, that raises a whole bunch of really big questions.
Okay, so you find these carvings. The first, most obvious move for any scientist is to hit the books, right? You go straight to the fossil record. I mean, if our ancestors carved it, it must have been a real animal they saw. It had to exist, didn't it? And that's exactly what they did. Paleontologists just went to town, digging through everything we know about the animals of that era. You know, all the big megafauna, mammoths, saber-toothed cats, those giant cave bears. They were searching for any little clue, a single piece of bone, anything that pointed to a large, snake-like animal with wings.
And after all that searching, what did they come up with?
A big, fat 0. Yep, nothing, nada. Not one fossilized bone, not a tooth, not a single scale that matched these carvings. The scientific record was a complete blank. And that, of course, just makes the whole mystery even deeper. So now you see the problem, right? It just puts it in such sharp focus. You've got this huge, profound gap between the fossil record and these carvings. A gap between the hard, physical evidence and the artistic evidence. So what on earth is going on here? How do you explain that? Well, with zero physical proof to go on, the scientific community basically landed on two big, competing explanations. Two theories trying to bridge that gap between what we can dig out of the ground and what our ancestors apparently dreamed up. And it really boils down to this. On one hand, you have theory number one. It's simple. The carvings show a real animal, a type of megafauna that existed, and we just haven't been lucky enough to find its fossils yet, okay? Then you have theory number two, which is completely different. It says these creatures were never real to begin with. They were born entirely inside the human mind, a product of something researchers call shared cognitive architecture. Okay, so what in the world is shared cognitive architecture? It's a really cool idea, actually. The theory goes that all human brains, no matter where or when you were born, are basically wired in a similar way. Think of it like a common operating system for our minds. And this OS makes us likely to invent similar kinds of myths and monsters, even if we have zero contact with each other. It's the best explanation we have for why ancient cultures in China, Europe, the Americas, cultures that were totally isolated from each other, all independently came up with stories about dragons. It wasn't some shared memory of a real creature. It was a shared way of thinking, a feature of the human brain, not a bug. So there you have it, two really strong theories. One is basically biological, the other is psychological. But here's the kicker. How do you even begin to test something like that? Well, to solve this ancient mystery, researchers are turning to a very, very modern tool. What they're doing now is taking literally everything we know from paleontology, all the data we have on actual Ice Age animals, and feeding it into a massive system. And then they're blending that with a super detailed analysis of the carvings. The tool that acts as the bridge between these two worlds, you guessed it, artificial intelligence. And the process is pretty wild.
First, the AI does this incredibly high-resolution scan and analysis of the ivory carvings themselves, picking up every little detail. Then, they just dump in all the data we have on Pleistocene fossils, bone structures, anatomy, how they might have moved, and then the magic happens. The AI takes all that info, synthesizes it, and starts to generate visualizations, basically creating a picture of what this creature might have looked like if it had actually been a real living animal.
And this whole thing, it's all leading to something much bigger than just identifying some mystery creature. The real goal here is to try and understand something way more profound, the actual birth of mythology, of storytelling itself.
What they're really trying to do is use this incredible tech to see if they can visualize the precise moment a myth was born. Can they see that first spark, that instant where a prehistoric human maybe saw the skeleton of a cave bear, watched an eagle in flight, saw a snake slithering on the ground, and in their mind mashed all those pieces together to create the very first dragon?
I mean, if that's true, then these little ivory carvings might just be some of the most important artifacts ever discovered. Think about it. They could be a literal snapshot of the human imagination taking flight. The first evidence we have of our ancestors not just surviving in their world, but actively reimagining it, turning real animals and real fears into the stuff of legends. Legends that would last for thousands and thousands of years. And that really leaves us with a pretty deep thought to chew on, doesn't it? If our Ice Age ancestors were sitting around a fire, dreaming up the very first dragon myths, it makes you wonder, what are the powerful myths we're creating right now? About our technology, about our society, about what the future holds. What are our dragons?